Hi there, everybody. EpitomeTheBurnkid back after a nice little break to relocate. Welcome to my new studio home here in Manitou Springs, Colorado. Packed up the family, moved from Maryland, if you caught the update in the last supplemental broadcast, and relocated to the mountains and absolutely loving it. So I hope everyone had a really good break. As promised, I am back with episode 15, titled Giants, Tartaria, and the Gateways to Hidden History. I have a wonderful video syllabus for you this evening, and I also have some website links for some concepts and all that we're going to go over in the program today. So I'd like to welcome everyone back, all of my returning and new viewers. Thank you so much for coming back. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, let a friend know about what's up, because we learned some pretty cool stuff on this program. Welcome back. And let's go ahead and start with just some major points, and then we're going to go into a little introduction regarding Tartaria, and go through some sources, and go over the syllabus with everyone, and let you go with some ideas and stuff to go off and research and learn about. We're going to have a good time. So let's go ahead and start with some major points. So when we are going to just go over some keywords, or your kind of hashtag sort of words that are going to stand out for major points regarding Tartaria are Reset Wars, Orphan Trains, Cabbage Patch Kids, Giants, the Millennial Kingdom, Secret Societies, Hidden History, the Carrington Event, Aliens and UFOs, World Wars and Civil Wars, Capitalism, the Modern Era, the Medieval Era, the Exploration Era, and the Renaissance Era, which I am further and further convinced was a PSYOP. End of story, but we'll get into that later on in the program. Systems changes, dates and numerology, Moorish America, and like, really, what are they hiding and why? So those are some major points when looking at the basics of overall, what is this Tartarian conspiracy or empire, civilization, architecture? What is all of this all about, and why did it suddenly get like erased from the history books and everything sometime like in the 1800s, when this was a very long-standing worldwide global civilization that multiple people dug up and overhauled and usurped and tried to claim as their own, would appear the story goes. So let's go ahead and get into our first source about, let me set my notes down for a moment, about 10 compelling reasons why Tartaria may have been hidden from history. So I'm going to go over the main 10 points and the sub-points as we go on down the list. This is from the website TartariaEmpire.com. So reason number one is to maintain the colonial narrative. Modern history promotes the idea that Western powers civilized the world. The existence of a global advanced civilization in Eurasia before Western colonization completely disrupts that storyline. Acknowledging Tartaria would mean admitting that Western powers destroyed something that was already highly sophisticated both culturally and technologically. Number two, because Tartarian technology was too advanced. From free energy towers and massive bells to cymatic healing and harmonic buildings, the old world's technology seems to have been based on sound, frequency, and sacred geometry. If this knowledge were rediscovered, it would undermine modern energy monopolies and expose the limitations of today's science. Number 3, to erase evidence of a unified global culture. Ancient cities across the world, from India to Mexico, Russia to Australia, show similar architecture, symbols, and sacred designs. The idea that these were independent developments is pushed hard, but Tartaria suggests a different possibility, a single interconnected global civilization. Number 4, because star forts and cities don't fit the timeline. The star forts, geometrically perfect, astronomically aligned, and globally distributed, exist in places where no military need for them is recorded. These structures hint at pre-flood or pre-reset knowledge of energy grids, not simple defensive forts. Their existence raises serious questions about who built them, when, and why. Number 5, to hide the mud flood catastrophe. Many believe that around the 1800s, a global catastrophe, possibly involving liquefaction or energy weaponry, buried entire cities under mud. Buildings with visible subfloors, half-buried entrances, and missing construction records support this. Acknowledging the mud flood would mean accepting a recent reset far more devastating than we've been told. Number 6, to suppress ancient knowledge of free energy. Domes, antennas, copper wiring, and spires on old buildings weren't just decorative. They may have collected ambient etheric energy similar to Tesla's theories, but if energy could be free, entire industries would collapse. Number 7, because religious power was at stake. Tartarian cathedrals and buildings are often aligned to the heavens, structured with sacred geometry and filled with symbols not exclusive to any one religion. The Vatican and other dominant religious institutions have had every reason to suppress a culture that unified science and spirit outside of dogma. Number 8, to control the human origin story. Accepting Tartaria would force a rewrite of human history, suggesting advanced pre-reset civilizations existed long after the last supposed Stone Age. That destroys the Darwinian linear model of human evolution and calls into question everything about our origins. Number 9, because it would expose the orphan train agenda. The empty cities phenomenon seen after the reset was followed by the forced movement of orphans across America, Europe, and Australia. These children, often nameless and without family, were used to repopulate areas emptied by the disaster. Who raised them? What were they told? And whose cities were they really living in? And number 10, to keep you disconnected from your power. In the end, hiding Tartaria isn't just about covering up buildings or empires. It's about erasing your connection to a more powerful, more harmonious past. A world where architecture healed, energy flowed freely, and people lived in balance with the earth. The conclusion is a history worth rediscovering. Tartaria wasn't just a place, it was a paradigm, one where architecture, energy, and spirituality merged, where cities vibrated with harmonic resonance, where history flowed differently. The silence surrounding Tartaria isn't accidental, it's strategic, and that silence is breaking. So that was our first source with the 10 main reasons from TartarianEmpire.com. The next site I'm going to give you some information from is called TartariaBritannica.com. And the two sections I'm going to read from are titled Buried Cities, Forgotten Structures, and Patterns of Erasure. So, if Tartaria was merely a misunderstanding, a relic of outdated geography, there would be little reason to continue asking questions. But across the realm, there are architectural anomalies that point to a far more complex past than what we have been taught. Consider the grand buildings of the 19th century, the so-called Beaux Arts, neoclassical, and Baroque structures that seem to appear fully formed in a historical blink. Many of them, we are told, were constructed in impossibly short time frames with rudimentary tools, yet they rival modern architecture in complexity and durability. Some curiously show signs of having been repurposed rather than originally built by the civilizations that claim them. In several cases, these buildings appear to have been excavated rather than constructed, as if they had been buried under layers of earth before being rediscovered. The phenomenon of mudflood buildings, structures partially buried with windows and entire floors beneath street level, raises further questions. While mainstream explanations attribute this natural shifts in the landscape, the sheer scale of these buried buildings suggests something more deliberate. Why do so many cities across Europe, Russia, and the Americas have architecture that appears to predate recorded settlement, only to have been partially submerged in earth? And now we're moving on to the next section, patterns of erasure, and then we're going to go to our final source. And here we go. History is written not just by victors, but by those who control narratives. Over the centuries, great fires, world's fairs, and urban renewals have provided convenient opportunities to erase and rebuild. The Great Fire of London in 1666. Remember how I said numerology? Keep note of the numbers that go through this topic as you go through it. It's a good idea. The fires that swept through American cities in the 19th century and the mysterious destruction of entire districts in European capitals all led to rapid reconstruction efforts. You know how I said the Renaissance was a psyop? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, just saying. What was lost in these events? What was built over, altered, or removed from historical memory? The pattern repeats itself across continents. Remember how I mentioned Moorish America? You know, Moorish America is pre-exploration, right? Just saying, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Buildings that should not exist in the time frame they are assigned to. You know, there's like a Sphinx in the Grand Canyon and like other Egyptian things. Just a little, you know, pointing you to the direction of, I don't think they're telling us the truth whatsoever. Urban layouts that suggest older foundations beneath modern streets, a suspiciously uniform approach to historical preservation that favors reconstruction over investigation. It is not that we are looking at a single lost empire, but rather at a series of resets, periods where history was rewritten to fit a new narrative. A narrative like a false matrix, like, you know, the thing that a new Earth is supposed to fix. So, yeah, that. And why this matters, finally. The questions surrounding Tartaria are not just about whether an empire was erased. They point to a much larger issue, the way history itself is managed, altered, and controlled. If entire civilizations can be forgotten, if their contributions can be reassigned or buried, what does that say about our understanding of the past? The true nature of Tartaria may never fully be uncovered, but that is not the point. What matters is recognizing that history, as it has been presented to us, is not a flawless record. It's actually, history is technically a social science, and all science is technically a pseudoscience, because all science is based on very, very, very highly flawed theories that are literally oversimplified reductionist notions that the material dialectic and particle physics agenda permits. But we'll get into all of that on another episode. I don't want to throw all that into the Tartaria episode. That's entirely too much. Back to the script. There are holes, contradictions, and deliberate omissions. What else has been removed? What else have we been told is impossible simply because the official narrative has no place for it? I've been told colonization technically infers that we are all owned, bought, and funded by secret societies' money and usurps. My understanding is a lot of what we've been told is simply to literally have us consenting and going along with an agenda that no one should have ever consented to begin with. But that has to do with stuff beyond the ice wall. We'll get into that in future episodes, though. History leaves its traces, even when it is rewritten. The architecture we inherit tells a story that doesn't always match the official records. The question is, are we willing to see it? And now we're going to pop over just so we can get to the origins of this. Now I've moved over to historydefined.net. And this is the subtitle here is Origin of the Tartaria Conspiracy Theory. Like I said, all science, all social science, any science, all science technically is pseudoscience. Everything has been that we currently have founded has been based upon false, doctored, manipulated principles that are designed to control and subdue the public at large and make it seem like more trouble than it's worth to fight for and stand up for the truth and for other ways of living. So they've chosen to stigmatize a lot of things like the Tartarian conspiracy, claiming the roots in Russian pseudoscience. Well, you just heard my opinion about science, so I digress. Let's move forward. Mentions of Empire of Tartaria first appeared in Russian conspiracy theorist Anatoly Fomenko's New Chronology. Nikolai Levashov later spread his work around in his Racial Occult History. If you watched the last episode of Pan-Panen with the tarot thing and the thing that was done to me and, you know, the other light workers, grid workers, chosen ones, 144K, who were marked for human sacrifice, this goes into this racial occult history, this usurping that this particular group does. And my understanding is these guys are of the scaly bunch and of the gray bunch. But you know, I don't really want to go into that here too far. This led to a belief that Russia was Tartaria, whose real origins were covered up by the West. Well, that's kind of ludicrous. We sort of know better than that. Later, the Russian Geographical Society debunked all these claims, said that that's just some weird extremist fantasy. I'm going to go ahead and agree with that for the sake of mention. Oh, pop-up ad, why must you? I'm filming right now. All right. Very good. Okay, so the talk about the Tartarian Empire seemingly fizzled out until 2016. Did you notice a lot of weird stuff started happening around 2016? I don't know about you, but I noticed things got real funny and society started moving funny, and things have really never been the same since. But back to the story. When it started to appear online on various YouTube conspiracy theory channels and eventually gained ground in 2017 when it began to pop up on Facebook, Reddit, and other social media channels. However, this theory deviated from its Russian origins and became an architectural conspiracy regarding the buildings and what have you that they dug up from these mud floods that they're, you know, these mud floods are a precursor to like the Earth disaster cycle, and they are a part of the Earth disaster cycle. If you're over following Suspicious Observers, I have a more Ptolemaic view of matters, but to understand it from a what I would call a mainstream science perspective, please go on over there and watch all the stuff they have going on. They're really good. I'll put a link in the profile so you can like tie those ideas together. Oh yeah, back to the script. According to the proponents of this theory, Tartaria was a giant race of technologically superior beings. Remember how I mentioned giants? Yes. And there's a lot of photographic evidence of this too from the black and white era, who existed on Earth long before we came into the picture, and this actually makes a lot of sense evolutionarily speaking. Not the fake evolution, but the real evolution of how this like narrative like got constructed. Some even suggest that we devolved from them after the Great Flood of Mud. I'm here to tell you there were several great floods of mud, and this has happened with several different species of humanoid, unfortunately. This flood was responsible for wiping them and most of their technological innovations out, leaving only remnants of their architecture. So, yeah, that is the main overview that I have for everyone. And now I'm scrolling right now to the great cover-up. Okay, so basically, most of the modern world, if you've noticed, all basically have the same kind of buildings, especially laid out in certain places in certain areas. You're going to notice these patterns, and you'll also notice that these buildings, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I don't believe the people of today could construct these buildings if they tried. I don't believe they're talented enough. I don't believe they know how to work with the materials. I don't believe they... I actually don't believe any modern builders could do what they want to claim was done in the 1800s. It's really far-fetched. Let me get my notes real quick. I had a few concepts that I wanted to cover with this before I go over the syllabus. Okay, so the first one I want to cover a little bit is the medieval, the exploration and the Renaissance narratives being complete psyops. I want to tie this concept into the Millennial Kingdom, Satan's little season, and how that's ending right now. Apparently the firmament's going to go out, the ice wall is going to come down, the sky's going to become fire, the continental drift is going to drift right quick, there's going to be mud floods, mega tidal waves. This is what buried Egypt and other places. This is what has shifted continents around. This is what's caused mass extinctions in the past. And the reason that they want to cover up these historical, I guess these facets of history, these other narratives, and defining these certain eras and things, is they want to literally rein in the knowledge and only link it to what they can reproduce and what they can somehow manufacture what I would call a mathematical understanding of. And if they're incapable of doing that, they literally try to erase the evidence, dismiss it as mythology, dismiss it as, just sort of a whim or someone's idea. They want to dismiss anything that they cannot control. You'll notice that this trend, even if you read the history, I was a history major and philosophy major, if you go through and read history as they want you to learn history, especially, at the college level, you can sort of see that it's a little bit too systematic, it's a little too convenient, and it stays within a certain set of parameters that, in my opinion, would de facto render it a pseudoscience, because you're not accepting any and all data to go over your recorded history. You're picking and choosing, you're giving certain precedence to some voices over others, and most of the voices given precedence to are moneyed voices. And as we've discussed on prior episodes of the program, money's black magic. People go around with money and hypnotize people and get people to do things they would never do if they were not hypnotized and being emotionally manipulated and mind controlled with money scarcity tactics and all these other techniques that these weirdo secret societies have taught people and have misguided them. And when we look at how long does this repeat story go, I'm here to tell you, as a fractal of source, as a conduit of source, there's a disaster cycle, because apparently the inhabitants of this realm have a little problem with technology, money, and both of those things are technically magic, okay? They also have a problem with communication. Communication is also magic. These people apparently are very good at making things go extinct and even sinking continents like Atlantis and Lemuria and other places that no longer exist, because they get out of hand with communication, technology, and money. By the way, all of these are man-made things. All of these, technically speaking, are of unlimited abundance if we were so wise as to see things for what they truly are and not play the games that this matrix has tried to condition from almost birth to create a false social contract, which, by the way, is a very faulty theory in political philosophy and doesn't really hold much weight. Why they think it's reality, I could not tell you. But I digress. The narratives regarding exploration and all these advancements that happened at those times, that was usurping, guys. And then they, the other idea that I want to tie along with this is I'm going to redefine a set of parameters, okay, to understand race theory as they tried to cover it up. All right, so I'm here to talk about this is my new theory. Sit down. So let me try to give you a little something straight from the I guess my downloads combined with my logic and reasoning and my analysis. I'm going to give you an epistemology of a race theory. It's 3-tiered, all right? So first, and I'm going to tie it all to this, I swear to you, is natural racism, all right? That's theory number 1. And natural racism is what Spanish racism, or I'm going to call it 1600s racism, was designed to cover up. Theory number 2 is artificial racism, all right? I'm not saying it isn't real. I'm saying it's artificially imposed. It's not innate. It's not coming from a primal place within. I am stating that natural racism is coming from a primal place within. I'm going to go into why in a little bit, but let's just start with those ideas, natural and artificial. And then the third idea happens when these two ideas combine, right? Okay, and the third idea is called mega racism. And when mega racism gets going, you start seeing slavery, genocide, extreme environmental destruction, wars, you see a lot of crazy things happen that are trying to, I guess, distract us all from what's really happening at that time. And it all ties into this mud flood and cover up. So let me start with natural racism and how that relates to 1600s racism, how artificial racism relates to 1800s racism. For everyone American, understands American history, we're going to be talking about the one drop rule regarded for 1800s racism, whereas the Spaniards race chart from the 1600s, we're going to talk about how that is going to cover up natural racism, because that's more of what that is about, especially with like the disappearance of the Olmecs and other peoples that vanished without a trace. We got to really look into this and use our noggins for what they're trying to not tell us. And mega racism, when these two concepts combine, that's when you get the last time we saw mega racism, and I'm going to say most recently the last time we saw mega racism is the two main groups are going to be what I am going to dub communist, socialist, anarcho-confused peoples in general. All of those movements are the last one that I've seen mega racism come out of. I've also seen it come out of extreme Islam. I've also seen it come out of the CCP. Before then, instances where we would look at mega racism and we can clearly point it out, we would be looking at like Napoleon, we would be looking at like Mao, we would be looking at World Wars 1 and 2. These appear to be cover-ups for these ideas. So let me go ahead and start with natural racism and Tartaria and giants. All right. Natural racism is something that is within different humanoid species inside of us, primally, where we respond to humanoids who don't match the characteristics, the vibes, the auric fields, all of that. We can tell it's not the same species as us, but they've tried to cover up all of this knowledge, basically. Like a good example of covering up all of this is like during exploration, when they're going around and they're like finding all this stuff and they're meeting all these new people and there are all these like genocides and there's all these like bones of giants left behind. This is clear instance of natural racism, where one species of humanoid approaches another species of humanoid something in them goes off, and boom, you have natural racism, all right? Artificial racism, which we're gonna say, we're gonna call it 1800s racism as well, is racism where people who are, I guess, of a majority, people of a majority are going to literally, arbitrarily, and artificially set their own parameters regarding what is and is not a race, what constitutes counting and not counting. There is nothing primal or instinctual about this. Artificial racism is calculated. It's normally for an economic strategy. It's normally not even about racism. It's literally about being advantageous and finding any and all excuses, right down to inventing the current mainstream notions of race, which, if it were actual racism, like, not artificially imposed by I guess, authority figures or what have you, there would be something instinctual about this. It wouldn't be a strategy. It wouldn't be some devised way to propel or expand your society. It wouldn't even, that would serve absolutely no purpose. So mega racism is when these things, like, combine. Mega racism is when we start looking at secret societies, we start looking at religious sects, we start looking at the Inquisition, we start looking at the witch trials, we start piecing together a lot of these other components where natural racism and artificial racism seem to combine. And over the ages, there are far less different species of humanoid than there were, right down to the point that you can see that certain continents are shaped like the humanoids they are literally made of from other cataclysms from eons past. So, yeah, to pull all of that together, these mud floods and cover-ups, because these mud floods happen on cycles and they happen randomly, and the last civilization to be taken down was the Tartarian one. All the areas that this happened to, and the areas happen to be around riverbeds and ley lines, which is, you know, where a lot of people have gone to settle, or dare I say usurp their settlement when they discovered new land. It wasn't as new as they want to pretend that it was. So to cover up all these notions, they start crafting these other narratives just to get people not to ask questions, just to get people not to investigate further, and for no one to hold accountability, and so that they maintain a absolutely grotesque amount of power. And the most common places that you can really see the clearest examples of this are the Western world. France, the US, Germany all have a lot of historic sites where you can see the mud flood evidence very clearly. And if you piece it all together, it's, you know, going to kind of come out like I told you. You're going to start seeing, oh, so they don't want us to know that this is just a thing. They don't want us to know maybe we should live another way. They don't want us to know maybe you shouldn't put a power plant there. Yeah, they don't want us to really know or investigate the truth about this. They want to dismiss everything as pseudoscience, myth, urban legend, conspiracy theory, insert slur here, and this is just what they do. And my other point now. So the this all ties into the Earth's natural cycle disaster cover-up, which I will have links in the thing for you to go look at more on that. And this is basically the secret society's linchpin to controlling their matrix empire entirely off of lies and illusion that are indoctrinated, instilled, and legislated as requirements, while trying to convince you that you must uphold this under the guise of some social contract that you didn't even get to read, let alone sign or consent to. It's a bit absurd if you ask me. And for other fun views, fun on this, definitely go check out the last auspicious op-ed I did on Robotech. It very much ties into the themes here about Tartaria. And the next op-ed I'm about to do on the next supplemental broadcast is going to be on Bubblegum Crisis, which is going to give us another different cybernetic, more transhumanist view of this same deal. Because let's be real, Mega Tokyo is hyperbole for post-cataclysm. Japan ain't Japan no more, is it? Yeah. So we're gonna like tie all of that stuff in there. So I hope that you got some good ideas and some info out of this to start further research about Tartaria hidden history. You're gonna find Tartaria is a lot like Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu, like other places, Shambhala, Agartha, places that are no longer spoken about, but you go back into old Renaissance writings and it's well documented, but people want to tell you those people didn't know what they were talking about. Those people thought the earth was flat. And, like other things like that, shaming and trying to gaslight, use black magic and spell work to trick you into believing a false history, a false economy, false governmental system, false legislation. If you are not following the YouTube recommended chronicles, that is the sister component to this show on X and Tumblr, please do while we're here. Because a lot of the memes and stuff have to do with Tartaria, hidden history, and the like. So yeah, let me go ahead and get you into the syllabus links so that you know what to look forward to. And I will send everyone on some merry studies. I'd like to thank everyone once again for being here with me. And let's go ahead and get on into the syllabus links. The Remains of Giants by Gabriel Dragonerescu. Well, that title cut off. But The Remains of Giants. White Giants of the New World by Robert Sepper. The Great Tartarian Empire by Robert Sepper. The Crisis of Tartaria by Lucius Aurelian. Solomon, the First King of Tartaria. Tales of the Old World. Forgotten History of Tartaria and the Old World, Lucius Aurelian. The Crisis of Tartaria. Oh, that one doubled. Whoops. Okay, so we got that. Okay. This Bible shows our reality is false, the biggest cover-up of all time. Billy Carson on Anunnaki, alien gods who created the first ... Tartarian Toilets and the Antiquitech of the 19th Century by Jared Boosters. Tartaria Conference 2025, hosted by Elizabeth Hancock. What Happened to All the Adults? Interview with Richard Vobes. A Little Season in New York City on the channel My Lunch Break. Finding Tartaria from My Lunch Break. History That Has Been Hidden, another interview with Richard Vobes. Tartaria Explained Supercut Old World from Ancient Historia. Tartaria, The Lost Science of Sacred Power by Jane 108 Academy. Tartaria Healing Frequencies. This is not music extremely powerful to try out some sonics. Tartaria Healing Vibration Tones and Power of Ancient Bells from You Create Reality. Tartary in San Francisco, oldest photographs from 1860 to 1869. Fort Ross and The Gold Rush by Jared Boosters. The Knights of Tartaria. And just for fun, I did a couple of songs titled Tartaria. They're pretty good. They're down here too. And some music videos. Those are pretty excellent as well. But anyway, that is all I have for you to get your feet wet on Tartaria and to tie it into the other concepts of the show. If you've made it with me this far, thank you so much for being here. If you are entirely unaware of what Pan-Panen Prophetic Pious Ponderings are, basically I'm here to just inform you. I am all three. I am a religious, a spiritual, and a theological person. And this show is a sister podcast to the Supplemental Broadcast and the YouTube Recommended Chronicles. This deals with the more spiritual side of the stories that we cover. And it's from a perspective influenced by my religious, spiritual, and theological beliefs. So just to let my newcomers know real quick what all of that is, because it's been a bit since I told everyone. My religious beliefs are a big hodgepodge of Buddhist, Taoist, Abrahamic, pagan, neo-pagan, indigenous, and other ancient belief systems. What I've learned from all of that I find beneficial and to be true, and that checks out when tested. While spiritually, I am a pantheist. Everything is all parts and components of God. God simply is, and we are a part of that experience. And my theological beliefs are panentheist. I believe that there is a spark of God inside of all of us, if we so choose to foster that spark and further its potential in this world, and what the divine can do through us as conduits of the divine, especially if you're from one of the major communities that I try to serve, which is light workers, chosen ones, 144K, grid workers, people who are here for New Earth, and also all of the people from the more secular truth, freedom, and sovereignty movement. It's helping them get their feet wet in these more spiritual ideas, more outer worldly ideas and concepts. So again, I'd like to welcome you to the show. You will be able to find the soundtrack for this episode, which I'm actually about to go make. So fun. Over on my SoundCloud, the links for everywhere you can find me, all of the sources used for the show, and all of the videos this were used for the script and syllabus. I'll have all of that for you in the description box. I'd like to thank everyone for being here again, and welcome to our new set as we get settled in, and I look forward to seeing everyone on episode 16. I am not sure what we're doing for episode 16 just yet, but I'm thinking we're going to start approaching this concept that I got a download about through the videos this week in the YouTube Recommended Chronicles. It's come to my attention that these dark forces types, that they like absolutely hate beauty, love, happiness, you know, all that is good, all that is worth living for. And all this like brutalist architecture and going around and making everything ugly, and like all the shows on like TV like are like ugly and sad, and like the movies are like ugly and sad, and like the music is like ugly and sad, and like all of it's like intentional because it's all like a weird form of black magic and like a psyop to try to maintain social control and invoke a trance via like mass formation psychosis and like other principles of dark psychology utilized through media and other like technological sources to indirectly impose it onto the populace and have them, you know, incidentally accepted as normal, like, you know, given uninformed like indirect consent. But we will get into that next time. Thanks again for being here. I hope I did not ramble entirely too long. I hope you have fun learning about Tartaria. We have a new slogan for OK Copernicus, so here it is. Ptolemaic vibes, alchemical knowledge, banging beats, OK Copernicus. I like to wish you all adieu, and keep on being excellent, keep being awesome. We need it more than ever, because boy, do we have some interesting stuff going on out there as this little season comes to an end, and we are ready for the new earth to come shining on in. See you next time, guys. Bye. Hi there, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to another Pan-Panen Pious Prophetic Pondering with yours truly, EpitomeTheBurnkid. Our episode tonight is episode 16, and the title for this episode is The Dark Forces' Obsession with the Destruction of Beauty, Love, Truth, and Free Will. We will go over each topic and what's the deal with their obsession with it. We're going to pick it apart. This is going to be a combination of aesthetics, epistemology, and logic we're going to go through when sorting all of this out. And I have a activity for all the viewers at home to do at the end, and we'll go over the exercise if you so choose. And I also have a wonderful video syllabus, and we're going to do a playlist this time too. So I'm going to put the main videos in the description box like I normally do. And for a extended range of videos to think about the topics at hand, or to do the exercise, I have the link for that playlist in the description box. Go ahead and click on that and go through and see what moves you, because I know that everyone has different interests. So I want to provide a lot of range of things for you guys to check out. And now we're going to go ahead and get on with this evening's presentation. Let me pull my notes up real quick. All right, here we are. Okay, so since we are going to go over what is the dark forces or the evil cabal or whatever you want to call the bad guys who don't want to do good things and who, you know, want to make our life not very fun, pleasant, enjoyable, or productive, we're going to go into what is their deal with beauty, love, truth, and free will, and why are they doing everything to circumvent or make their own inverted or distorted version of such, and what's the deal with this 3D matrix? Why is it constructed the way it is? And a lot of nuances on concepts so that everyone can better discern and see beyond the veil and through the layers a bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and start with beauty. And I want to start with I'm just going to connect some concepts that I think directly relate to beauty. And we're going to talk about what is going on with these concepts and tie it into some past episodes. And then we're going to go through and break down the concept, and we're going to wash, rinse, and repeat, and do that for all of these. So with beauty, I'm going to start off with saying that in my mind, beauty very much has a lot to do with nature. It has a lot to do with creativity. It has a lot to do with divinity. It has a lot to do with health and well-being. It has a lot to do with wealth and like actual true abundance. It has a lot to do with truth. It's very unassuming. It's very natural. It's very organic. It's very real, and it's very, very true. However, there is a fake and false beauty that rivals this beauty. This is the one that the dark forces push and perpetuate through all the different industries and social engineering, all of the psyops and all they kind of do on the public at large every day. Aesthetics is a really, really big part of what they pinpoint and focus on. And when it comes to humanity, beauty, love, truth, free will, while we can view these not necessarily all as aesthetic values, for the sake of our talk today, these are all going to be about aesthetics and about the notions of beauty, the notions of what is attractive, what is preferable, favorable, and what is going to be more of a lure. And we're going to talk about the discernment of that in a world full of fake and fraudulent and phony, things to dupe us. We're going to look at beauty, and I want us to reflect about beauty in terms of psyops. How does beauty relate to markets? How does beauty affect legislation? How does beauty propel discrimination? How does beauty invoke deprivation? And we're going to talk about beauty's role in energy harvesting, and how energy harvesting, which is something we've been talking about the past couple of episodes and is a big thing that the dark forces want to do, is drain and suck up everyone's energy and get them in a mode and a tone and a frequency where they are more malleable, where they're more pliable, where they are more likely to hand over their free will, where they're more likely to trust the wrong person, where they're more likely to get duped by fake love or fake beauty. And we're going to look at how that concept merges with social engineering, and how the destruction of beauty is very, very, very directly linked to concepts like mass formation psychosis, a replacement and depopulation, and other things that we're watching unfold and become more clear as the veil thins as we continue through this year of karma, apparently. I'm really excited for next year. It's a year of Capricorn, which is systems and work. And, you know, I'm a Capricorn, and I think that systems and work definitely need to be restructured after this year of karma, if I do say so myself. But let's go ahead and get into our beauty comparison, starting with a real, true, and natural beauty, and versus a fake or false beauty. When we look at these notions and natural beauty that organically just happens, it's, you know, God's creation is naturally beautiful. We're beautiful. Nature is beautiful. So many things are so beautiful. But that beauty is apparently resented. That beauty is apparently triggering. It's apparently makes people insecure, especially people who rely on false and fake beauty, especially things like it's so weird to talk about it, but we're talking about it all the time now. Glamour spells and glamoring stuff and jazzing stuff up to look like something that it isn't. Turning all kinds of things into a lure just by casting a different veneer onto something or giving it a different value. When we look at these different types of beauty, we really do have to discern what is the purpose of it. Why are we being approached with this beauty? Are we being approached with this beauty because it's natural and it probably leads to something, you know, healthy? It probably leads to something divine, or maybe some creative inspiration? Or is it fake or false beauty? Is it the type of beauty that oppresses you? Is this the type of beauty that represses you? Is this the type of beauty that lures you into traps? It's really important now more than ever with how many things there are to affect aesthetics with and to affect our notions of beauty, that we really look carefully into this matter. And that gets me into the conflation of natural, organic authenticity versus fabricated and manufactured acceptability. This plays into beauty fully, because this is the beauty from the inside, not the outside. The Matrix really likes a mimicry. It likes patterns. It likes mimicry and patterns because it likes control. It didn't think too far ahead, though, because once you recognize patterns, it's very easy to disrupt and break them. So I don't really know how they thought this was going to go on indefinitely, but they really tried it. It's been going pretty good since the medieval era, if you ask me. This also ties into, because this is natural, organic versus fabricated and manufactured. Was it effortless, and is that a vice or a virtue? Was there toil in this, attempt to be beautiful? Or was it just real? Did it just happen? And what is the value of that? All of that we look at is going to boil down to a very important facet, which is, what are we really concerning ourselves with? Are we concerning ourselves with the actual experience? Are we concerning ourselves with the experience of beauty? Or are we concerning ourselves with the simulation? And are we concerning ourselves with fitting into that simulation's notions of beauty? And what does all of that mean? And, you know, how is all of that going to be received? How is all of that going to be valued? All of these things very much drive the split between organic, divine beauty and manufactured matrix beauty. Now we're going to get a little more political in our hierarchy here of concepts. So there is a natural order, i.e. anarchy, which is basically no artificially imposed order. The natural order literally sorts itself out. You know, cream rises to the top, so on and so forth. And we're going to compare that in this concept to impose hierarchy, and how one permits and is grounded and based on objective observations, while the other is rooted and anchored by subjective perception with the rejection of objective observations. It would appear that whatever is manufactured is threatened by whatever is organic and naturally occurring, which ties in this vice virtue methodology to drive the change of the notion of beauty and the notion of what makes it beautiful. I don't know why people don't talk about this stuff, but it's my favorite part of philosophy is aesthetics. So I'm very happy to be talking with everyone about that today. The priceless versus free view, because, you know, if something is priceless, like you can't put a actual, you know, dollar amount on it. It's entirely too precious, versus something is free, which you can have a few views on that. You could see that as a hot commodity. You could see it as a great deal, or you could literally see it as of having no value, versus an at cost range of where a notion of a value would be applied is going to factor in a great deal. In natural, organic, divine beauty, these facets are priceless. They're natural. They're naturally occurring. They're just beautiful as they are, and nothing has to be done. Whereas the matrix is more into quantification than qualification. So they're going to base their notions much more subjectively on a scale of how can you equate it to value, and how are you going to perceive that value in more of a itemized approach. Also, alongside with this itemization, they really do like to factor in the notions of pain and pleasure of natural versus artificial beauty. Natural beauty is generally derived from things that are very pleasant and pleasurable. Rest, healthy food, good clean water, exercise, those are enjoyable things. Those all tend to push towards natural beauty, where pain, you know, procedures, cosmetics, a lot of toil, surgeries and other things, that's going to more be a norm in artificial beauty standards, which brings us to the spiritual warfare component of energy and frequency, and also the notions of energy and frequency coming from the inside out versus the outside in. While divine and natural things tend to have a balance of both inside out and outside in, things that are not divine and are artificial and of the material dialectics notions of stuff, those things tend to be outside in mostly, with very little inside out, and that's for conditioning and social engineering reasons that we're going to get into a little bit later in our talk when we add the other concepts. Inversion and coercion versus revelation are another facet of the notion of beauty. Was the notion of beauty, was it, you know, a revelation? Was it revealed? Was it natural? Was it self-revealing? Or was there an inversion or a coercion to impose this notion of nature onto the observant, basically? And that ties into tiers of control and implementation, manipulation, power dynamics, revision, repression is also another facet here that replaces oppression via conditioning. And the repression is that little bit of inside out, that they basically rely on you having that little bit of inside out in there, and then they oppress the rest to create an inversion and coercion of what is their substitute for natural beauty, which would just naturally reveal itself and naturally be self-evident. No one would be arguing about the value. No one would really be arguing about what is beautiful and what is ugly. It's a very objective notion. And that brings us to, why do they care about this stuff? Well, they care about this stuff because they have to apparently do all of this conditioning. Because they must have continual diversions and disguises where they bait and switch and divide and conquer using the notions of beauty. These notions of beauty have been used for selective scapegoating, for targeting individuals, for rallying people behind stereotypes, stigma, and other things that tend to drive haughty decisions and a haughty discernment, which isn't very discerning. Also, we have to view, when we look at all of this, they want to restrict aesthetic anarchy. Basically, they want to restrict all of us from seeing beauty through our own lens and having our own revelations and realizations regarding beauty. They want arbitrated aesthetics, where it's only aesthetic if they arbitrate that it is aesthetic. This moves us into cloaking versus transparency. When we look at the two types of beauty, it appears that false beauty is really there to cloak that it's darkness. It's there to cloak that it's false light. Whereas transparency reveals the luminance of what is divine, and also transparency reveals the darkness of what is cloaked. All of this is very important when you put it together with their bait and switch tactics, especially regarding their newest fake beauty war that they have one against the other, which is pay-to-play beauty versus protected class beauty. And they all have it in one fashion show. It is wild looking. Personally speaking, I believe that all human life should be considered protected. But we live in a world where there are people who want to believe that some humans should be protected and others should not. I am not a part of that world. I am a part of calling that world out. But that world is going toe-to-toe with the pay-to-play beauty world. And if you've looked at any recent fashion runway shows, fashion magazines, wow. I don't even have words for what I've seen. But that wraps up our beauty exploration. Now, we are going to go ahead and go on to love as I get my next note open. All right. So, beauty sparks attention while love cements connection. But not all love is created equal or is interpreted the same way. The dark forces seem to enjoy reductionism combined with disregarding context, nuance, and depth. So this sums up the major components of their assault on love. They like to use beauty as a big in for this assault on love. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at love. Let's start off with the basic notion of what we're going to be talking about, and we're going to sort through love. So the notion of love and understanding of it is primarily what is weaponized by the ones who don't like goodness. And although they will attack loving relationships more directly in hopes of destroying people's beliefs and values regarding love itself and regarding their feelings toward their loved ones, they do try to just make people feel hopeless regarding love. It's really sad. And when you go look into the videos and hear about really the way these ones think and the way that they approach social engineering, it's really telling. And the more informed we are, the more we can resist and live a lovely life anyway. So let's go into love. Conditional versus unconditional first up. So when we concern ourselves with conditional and unconditional love, conditional love is unfortunately the most prevalent love we see in our realm. Unfortunately, if you are not brought up with, a religious or spiritual background that is rooted in unconditional love being a paramount value and being absolutely priceless, what everyone has been educated to believe by the material dialectic in the artificial matrix tends to place conditions on just about everything, and conditional love runs rampant. So when we look at conditional love, people have to meet certain criteria or provide something, either money, looks, popularity, status, some type of service, something, to be deemed worthy of loving. Now, personally, I don't believe conditional love is love. I believe conditional love is a very strange form of affection manipulation to maintain a degree of acceptance. But for the sake of argument, we're going to pretend conditional love is real, even though I don't believe in it. Well, conditional love is really a danger to unconditional love in one way and one way only, and that is that it can dizzy and confuse and rig the perception, albeit temporarily, regarding which love is more valuable. Unconditional love, hands down, is always going to be more valuable than conditional love. Conditional love, in my book, isn't love, but if you want to claim it's love, it's that only for the good times love. And that's not really love. Unconditional love is related to, giving grace. It's related to tolerance. It's related to compassion. It's related to trying to do the right thing. And it's also related to having the wisdom to understand why this way of living leads to better results. Conditional love is more based on rigging perceptions of things. Rigging perceptions of love and what warrants and doesn't warrant love tends to induce conflations of value, especially when unconditional love is targeted as being worthless because it's not providing some type of wealth or some type of upgrade, so to say, that's very blatant to the naked eye. I believe unconditional love is the ultimate upgrade, but conditional love is really what is sought after by people who keep track of tallies and tit for tat kind of mentality. Greed and lust, oftentimes with this group, is conflated with love. And it's driven, this conflation is driven with ambition. Ambition drives a lot of natural chemicals that really do overlap and mimic love, mimic lust. These chemicals really overlap. And when you rig perception, you can convince someone that their pursuit of greed is their heroic attempt at fighting for love. It's because the love of money is love too. We're not just talking about love, people, emotions. We're talking about love and action. Loving something is an action. So we're going to talk like love is a verb. Even though love, is an emotion, we're not really focusing on that so much. But we are going to look at love being an emotion when we're comparing the concepts of, dedication, vows, and commitment to concepts such as birth, growth, or evolution. when love is a verb, it's actively being done, it's actively being worked on. But when we're viewing love as an emotion, it's something that one is treating more like a noun. It's a thing. Love is a thing now, and it's a thing that someone receives. It's no longer an action that is creating the action being received, where it's a two-way street. In conditional love, that is not really how it goes. That's how it goes with unconditional love, where it's both a verb and an emotion. In conditional love, it's more of an emotion and less frequently a verb, because it's a verb that's being withheld. The opposite of love is violence and neglect, things like that. Those are forms of violence. So when we look at organic love versus manufactured love, and we look at the modern tech-driven world and its approach to love, unfortunately, organic love is not the most prevalently seen or experienced love anymore at this stage in the game for a lot of people. Manufactured love and what they've been taught as love via tradition and even attempts at propelling evolution of notions of love. We've gone very, very far from the natural, organic, very acceptive, very permissive vibes with love. And we've moved into the enforcement and imposition of, well, manufactured like check marks, checkpoints, milestones, very artificially driven reasoning for caring about love, which makes us unfortunately devalue it if you fall into that trap. So we're looking at the material, physical notions of love versus the spiritual, metaphysical, intangible parts that rotate around the topic. Conditioned beliefs and expectations centered around love are another important driving factor versus the self and revelations and our connection to God and our connection to that intangible metaphysical experience that we all have intrapersonally within ourselves when we're reflecting and when we're thinking and we're having a relationship with ourselves. We also have love come into that mix. And in this material dialectic world, need versus want, and relationship versus partnership, and very material ideas drive these notions of desire versus desperation and motivation. Whereas with, organic love that is not manufactured, that is unconditional, it's self-sustaining. It's simply there. It's full of freedom. It's full of acceptance. It's full of openness. Whereas this other very conditional, very manufactured love is full of rigid expectations. And the motivations, we have to look at, are these motivations natural or artificial? Are we having these motivations because we authentically and sincerely feel the way that we feel about love? Or do we feel about love the way that we feel about love because of artificially imposed values and conditions and expectations? This notion of love and understanding of love is the primary thing that the dark forces are attacking in regards to love. Do they do the awful things that we all know they do? Do they create, intentionally do adultery? Do they intentionally break up families? Do they intentionally exploit people through unsavory demonstrations of definitely not unconditional love? Yes, that is a thing, absolutely. But at the meta level and at the deepest crux of like every overlapping intersection here, They're attacking notions and they're attacking understanding, because it's so much faster to weaponize and divide and conquer people if they cannot even carry the same frequency. They can't carry the same energy. And in this case, they can't carry the same notions, ideas, understandings, or values. It makes it very easy for them to divide and conquer. And now, each topic we go into, I like the next one more than the one we did before. So I'm like really into this. I love you guys. All right. So now let's talk about truth. What's their beef with truth? Let's get into it. All right. We've covered beauty and love. So let's look at how they relate to truth and the erosion of the false matrix, because the one thing that's going to erode it is truth. That is so real. Natural beauty and unconditional love are related to truth, while conditional love and artificial beauty are related to falsehood. Truth is the enemy of all illusory deceptions and ineffective practices. So now I am going to walk you. Hold on, let me see if I have any more notes. Okay, yeah, I'm ready to walk you through this series of events. All right, so I'm going to give you the epistemology of the illusory framework of their cycle of social engineering and conditioning. That we've all been through this. I've been through this. I broke free. Well, I saw through it, but I played along, you know, when I was young. I stopped playing along entirely by the time I could drive a car. I wasn't playing along at that point, although I would be polite and, you know, do like mainstream normal things. I'm really glad that I don't do stuff like that anymore. It feels like really dirty and really gross. So let me go ahead and walk you through the epistemology of their social conditioning framework so that you all can better understand how this is driven and how this works. So we're going to start with 3 pillars of what the false matrix is built on. The false matrix is built on false authority, false values, and false currency of all forms. Currency is not money. Currency is anything that you can transact with that is deemed valuable, including attention, time, energy, space. We're going to use anything for currency here. So we're going to start with false authority. False authority is rooted in the false need, So the bottom of this foundation that we're going to build everything on, these pillars, is going to be built on a foundation of false need. So false authority is rooted in false need. False need invokes a sense of entitlement, and it also like corrodes everything it touches. False values are then driven by false need as well. False need now drives indoctrination and penalization. False currency is rooted in a secondary false need. False currencies include money, material goods, favor, attention, energy, effort, status, titles, credentials, etc. So the way the loop goes is to have a false authority, it must be built on false values. To have false values, these false values must bring about a false currency, and they must be built on a false need, or the conditions required to maintain the system of control isn't there if you do not have false need and the fear of those false needs not being met, including the false currency, false values, and a false authority that is supposed to make your life worth living, but it's all false. Hopefully more people are waking up to that is what happened, and that has happened since the last disaster cycle. And I don't mean the little one with Noah, I mean the big one with Gilgamesh. This has been going on for this actual pattern and how it's being done. It's been mimicked so many times. I'm fascinated that it got mimicked as long as it's been mimicked and people even care still. It just wows me, but let me go into more of why they got away with it. All right, so these false authorities and everything, they are enforced via societal standards and a governmental force. All of the systems requirements, social requirements, economic requirements, skill and knowledge requirements, and individual requirements for participation in the system that pays false currency to those who uphold their false values by the false authorities who arbitrated the systems based on false need. This is how it's been done for like at least like 12,000 years. I'm certain that this has been done for far longer than that, but this is the current system that is literally imploding on itself. For this system to keep it going, everyone must remain ignorant, obedient, or apathetic to survive the artificial matrix. So we all must be prepared to live parallel to this system. This is going to mean we all need to care a lot about micro, macro, and meta prepping. If you are uncertain of what that means, let me give you a good example. A micro prepping would be what you as individuals and your family do with your food, emergency plans, what have you. Macro prepping is preparing systems, equipment, things that require larger groups and a lot more specialization. For example, operating heavy equipment. You're kind of going to want a guild for that. Things that are medical, you're going to want people who know what they're doing to be, grouping together and sourcing that. And then when it comes to meta prepping, that's all conceptual. That is about preparing and preserving knowledge, preserving history, getting everyone psychologically and spiritually prepared to push through a civilization collapse. Meta prepping is all the intangible and metaphysical facets that we would be preparing for to move away from this false structure and build a honest, real civilization within our rights and parallel to what is existing. We were born into this mess. None of us consented. None of us were told to read the social contract and sign it. That didn't happen. So to move forward with these notions to step away from society, some things are going to be, these are just truths that have to be done. People are going to have to do a lot of independent study because they've been indoctrinated and not taught what they really need to know to prevail. They just haven't. Skill formation and guild formations to preserve and continue different industries and systems and things that we would need. And embarking on independent, off-grid, raw land holdings, land that has not been contaminated, land that we are not dependent on their grid, land that we can settle and live in a way that is much better than what they have in their matrix and is within all of our legal rights. And we're going to make a civilization that makes them wish they went off-grid, right? Right. And forming co-ops and trusts to protect this new way of living from these people. Rebuilding civilization anew with all we've learned is really what we're here to do right now when it comes through pushing through the current events and moving into the age of Aquarius and much better times. And that finally brings us to, what is the Dark Forces' deal with free will? Well, I would like to think of free will as a crux of these features exclusive to humanity and the humanities, regardless of what other varieties of humanoids would like to impose themselves through their deception, trickery, and other artificial shenanigans to our natural and most healthful way of life. Free will is not a dualistic concept. Actually, most things that are humanistic and humanities-based aren't dualistic either. Dualism is a very machine, very primal view of things that I don't think has been normal wow, for like really over 1,000 years. I think it's pretty reductionist to treat stuff like it's dualistic, to be very honest with you. In reality, free will is just like most other things in the humanities, multifaceted, multidimensional, and highly pluralistic, with just a range and spectrum that really spans, with a whole host of stipulations and complexities. Free will is a foundation that must be conceded. You can't just go and take someone's free will. They actually do have to give it to you. They have to acknowledge that, I guess in their mind, it's not worth their while to invoke it. So in turn, the dark forces utilize coercion, brutality, and other forms of manipulation rooted in false need, with the intent to impose false need by way of learned helplessness, coupled with dependence, artificially imposed dependence, intended to cement codependence to false needs as a literal primary requirement to uphold their false empire with its false sense of authority based on false values, fueled by false currencies, perpetuated by very real and very true acceptance of said false needs and false currencies and false values and false authorities. Do I really have to say more on this topic? I really don't think I should. So I think we've really covered what is their basic beef, aesthetically, epistemologically, and we've looked at the logic of, well, what is this like really about? And now that we've talked about all of these fascinating concepts, I want to go ahead and go over the activity and exercise with everyone, should you so choose to go do it. All right, so the dark forces obsession with destruction of beauty, love, truth, and free will. Here's your activity. Take a video or more, if you would like, from each category to watch, and then take some time to reflect on the following concepts to start gaining a deeper understanding, insight, and to piece together the interconnected relationships between topics. Use this as a starting point to generate curiosities, to explore that, generate deeper analysis through more thoughtful questions and answers as you go, like in the Socratic method. Socrates, when he wanted to get down to understanding something, he'd ask questions until he was blue in the face. But we're going to be smarter, and we're not going to drink that hemlock, are we, boys and girls? That's right. And we're going to use this method of just looking at all of this, generating thoughts, reflecting, to propel further research, development, and a generation of new materials in regards to media and content to further embark on this process of collective education and consciousness evolution or expansion. So in the video categories, you're going to take one or more from these three categories, and I'm going to tell you the categories. So category 1 is a collection of tarot, channeling, prophetic words, oracle, energy reading, astrology, spiritual messages. These come from multiple backgrounds. I only have so much space in the description box, so please click on the playlist so that you can go look at the whole range, so that you can pick things that are best for your tradition and understanding, and also so you can pick areas that you're not familiar with and go ahead and explore. So you're going to take category 1. And category 1, I'm going to give you a couple of titles of videos just so you have some idea of what they're like. One is the Traffickers of Life Force Vitality are talking about Ishmael. Fascinating, right? Are you an NPC? Another good topic. You are surrounded by the weak disguised as the virtuous. Like these are all coming from different... I'm going to call them a spiritual, religious, or otherwise piously grounded transmissions. Now, in category 2, we have podcasts, current events, politics, philosophy, tech, economics, industry, and health. So we're going to take our first category, which has our spiritual, religious, theological stuff, and we're going to overlap this with our current events, politics, philosophy, matrixy stuff. So here's a few examples of what we'll have in here to look through. What happened to the Indus Valley civilization? 6,000 versus 12,000 year disaster cycle advanced concepts. Brett Weinstein on Epstein, globalization, and other topics. And another good one to overlap with the first category is only the elites can afford luxury beliefs. The rest of us get left with the rest. These are all there, and you can overlap the, I guess, the political side with the spiritual side. And if you move on down to section 3, we're going to make the spiritual religious side a bit more with a hidden history focus, a bit more of a prophecy focus, a more esoteric focus, more information about secret societies, the occult, and more of the sort of cosmic aspects to these matters to overlap another layer. And some examples of that is going to be lost prophecies of the Templar Grand Masters, the essence and task of Freemasonry by Rudolf Steiner, the essentials of theosophy, essential teachings of Helena Blavatsky and Rudolf Steiner, which Blavatsky is theosophy and Steiner is anthroposophy. And those are two of the safest, most legitimate, reputable, benevolent ways to learn about the occult, metaphysical studies, and very abstract philosophical principles. The Philosophical Research Society is also another good one. But there are safe, non-scary places that do not involve memberships or anything weird, that are open to the public and do like academic lectures and stuff. And I've included a lot of those in this list. And other things, other concepts here, like in this other video, the moon, Saturn, and the serpent, the secret prison, and the role of the archons, and Earth being a prison. So these are all a lot of different concepts where you're going to be looking at things on a micro, a macro, and a meta matter, and you're going to overlap these ideas, and you're going to start triggering new thoughts by reflecting, by questioning, and by driving your own curiosity and your own self-study in whatever direction you want to go. And that is what I have for everyone today. I am really happy to be back with everyone and do something a little more philosophical. On our next episode, I am going to touch more on the occult. I'm going to touch more on esotericism. I'm going to touch more on what's benevolent. I'm going to touch more on what is definitely not benevolent. I'm going to touch more on what is what I consider just quasi-occult and not even real occult. And where you can get information so that you can really educate yourself on this stuff and be prepared, because people weaponize these concepts to maintain control. They weaponize these concepts to maintain narratives. And I'm here to basically inform everyone. All of these things they aren't necessarily something for us to take part in. They aren't necessarily something for us to explore firsthand, but they are something that is important for us to be knowledgeable about, and for us to be academically curious about, and for us to better understand the motivations behind hidden history, the motivations behind forbidden knowledge, the motivations behind hiding information, and why I'm motivated to literally be as transparent with all of it as possible. So I hope to see you next time for that episode. And I would like to thank everyone for watching. Definitely want to remind everyone, please, you know the deal. Like, share, subscribe, turn on those notification bells, because, yeah, sometimes the spirit moves me and I go into creative mode and I get a lot of stuff uploaded and pushed out at once. And other times I am I am waiting for the right moment of inspiration to finish up a production. And for you to know exactly when it's going to come in. I'm not really the greatest with a regimented schedule, so please click on the notification bell. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to Alexandria on Rumble or Odysee. And if you haven't followed the YouTube Recommended Chronicles by following myself on X or Tumblr, please check that out. And please check out Copernican Records on SoundCloud for the latest music from OK Copernicus Productions. Yours truly. And I'd like to tell everyone in closing, stay safe, stay prepped, stay awesome, and keep being excellent to one another as we need it now more than ever. I wish you so much plur and encourage you to art hard in whatever way expresses your soul's essence the best. Ptolemaic vibes, alchemical knowledge, banging beats, OK Copernicus. I'll catch y'all party peoples later. Epitome out. Bye, guys. Ptolemaic views, alchemical knowledge, banging beats. OK Copernicus.